Vybz Kartel lawyer speak, will he be freed? And if he is free, will he be able to sue the government? These are some of the questions answered, among many other questions, on the fix.
That's crazy. No, sir. But I'm sure like that's literally what people been asking you. I'm sure since MCO.
Yeah, man, that's they always, everybody wants to know when is the show and everything. So, and I like that positive energy.
Yeah.
So we keeping on that energy and that wavelength.
And keeping and just following on this line of questioning. People are positive and optimistic. What is it from your end, from the legal side, and from Kartel's perspective? Are you sharing in the optimism?
I mean, we weren't aware that people were positive and optimistic. That certainly wasn't the position and tone before the ruling. But what I say is, we remain consistent. Our mantra is God on time, and we've been keeping certainly on that trajectory. We're unbothered. We know that the justice system works, even when people said it didn't.
Yeah.
It must have been like a whirlwind week for you. Yeah, just getting from the UK, no?
Yeah, man.
Fresh out the UK.
No, the Privy Council, they quashed the conviction.
Right.
And some people say squash, but no, it's not squash. Let's break it down.
Yes.
Them throw it out, dash it away.
Right.
Okay.
It's no more.
Okay.
And let Kartel and Sean Storm and Kara Jones and Andre St. John, I saw them and there was like, we don't have convictions, so what you doing here? But that's an inside joke. But the hype now, because they don't have the life sentence over their head.
Right.
They don't have the stigma of being a convict over their head. The Constitution, which the whole Jamaica now know is a powerful legal document. You are now cloaked in the presumption of innocence. So people can say, people can chat and to borrow from the Baroness, at the end of the day is just chat and nothing else. That's where we are right now. And we await our Court of Appeal, which the Privy Council said is to consider, if at all, a retrial can take place.
So if it's quashed, why is it not an immediate release? If in that he's no longer seen as a convicted murder accused or whatever, why is he still in jail?
The criminal,
or prison,
I can answer that. The criminal law is rigid. So when you hear that law is black and white, forget about the gray areas. A perfected order must come from the king. The king is actually our head of state. He has not yet signed that document, or that document has not left his desk. I can tell you, up to this morning, we did have sight of the draft order, and we take no issue with it. And so we await the king to sign off for the order that gives effect to the quashing of the conviction and the directions to our Court of Appeal.
Okay.
I see. So when that is done, then he can be free, or there's still another process that he.
So the process is our Court of Appeal, which is a competent court. I'm saying that because people are. You hear it in the spaces.
Yeah.
Oh, the white man, them did have to let them go, and the black people couldn't do it. That's not how law works. The judges are completely disconnected from what is before them. They have judicial independence, and they actually, a panel of judges actually wrote the questions. It is the court's questions that the Privy Council answered, and they declined to answer to in light of the breach that they found in with the jury issue.
Right.
So our court is waiting. They're not sitting idly wondering what are we going to do. They know what they're going to do. The court is going to decide whether, if at all, they can order a retrial. So the question that should flow is, why can't they order a retrial?
Okay.
The defense lawyers will make their case, and the prosecution will say, but here's why you should order a retrial. And wherever the balance lies, that's what will be the result.
Okay, so DPP Paula Lewin, she has announced her intention
Of a retrial.
For a retrial for Kartel. What are your thoughts on that?
It's nice. It's really good for TV. What everybody knows. What everybody is
That's the reason why you consider it.
What you mean by that?
you know.
Feel like say you would want to stretch out as far as possible.
Why?
Forget 64.
As long as
Let's
me
make
further
it
hold on.
As I'm
good.
Listen, you say I go fix your business now. Imagine I come on this show,
Yes.
announce to the world that I'm selling Bandulu tickets, and you think I want this thing stretch out? Money me, I look away you there. But anyway,
Yeah, are you paid by the hour?
absolutely not. But anyway, yeah. So
nice
I'm
for
so
TV.
yeah. Let's get that was a joke. Yeah, thank you. Because sometimes they miss my sarcasm. So let's make it clear. That was public service announcement. It was a joke. What we want people to appreciate, and I'm saying we, because from the judicial side of it, the court, the workings of the court, we want people to understand criminal law is an adversarial system. So when I was growing up, if you was watching Law and Order and you was watching Matlock, Perry Mason, I'm trying to think of all of them, Boston
Nero.
Legal, anything with suits.
Yeah.
It's a adversarial thing, and people want to win. So prosecutors prosecute and defense attorneys defend. And the judges judge. And when you're the jury, you judge as well. And if you are entertained by the defense attorney, the jury might say, my spirit take that one day, not guilty. If you like the prosecutor side, you probably say, my spirit take that one day, guilty. So that's the beauty of the jury system and the simplicity of it. It's enshrined from Magna Carta and in our constitution in terms of fair trial. Now, so we shouldn't take it personal. There's an assumption that at the end of the day, in some arenas, not always, you will see prosecutors and defense attorneys go at it, but right at the break or right at the 4 o'clock when court is over, they say, "You going to Starbucks? Are we going swimming this weekend?
Listen, I'm
Tennis,
sure,
anyone?"
I know you and DPP, Miss Llewellyn, is not so nice.
No, well, there's a significant age difference,
Yeah,
and so
okay.
you're to stay within your generation. It's advised to do so, but outside of that, I'm just saying we are not bad.
Yeah.
And so I'm using this platform for people to understand that outside of this case, there are a million other cases that we do that guidance would have been. You learn guidance from her experience. She has not prosecuted a particular case because she's assessed the file. So it cannot be that the ones that she decide to prosecute, you say, "Oh, she wicked." And then when you get your way, you say, "Oh, she's so good." And you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Even for defense attorneys, you free this person, the people who you free, they are happy, but the people who they say get hurt are sad. You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So when it comes to and I'm still answering the question that you asked me, is that it is our right to assess the situation and make a determination what she wants to do. And just as it is the defense's position to defend.
So you think that if a retrial takes place,
Not gonna happen, but go ahead. Hypothetically.
hypothetically,
Yeah.
if a retrial takes place, I mean, it wouldn't. Wait, but this will lead me to our next question. When you say hypothetical, what I mean? So what's the best case scenario for you guys?
What's the best case scenario?
Yeah.
What you mean what's the only case scenario?
Or what's the only case?
I'm not
Because-
trying to try the case in public.
Right.
Save and except to say that in using the Constitution, and that's why I said the question to ask, if at all, there are several issues. So generally, you have delay. Our courts have already pronounced that 8 years is a long time. They have been locked up for 13 years. Availability of witnesses. Is the witnesses available?
Right.
And we're not just talking about the material witness.
Yeah.
We're talking about officers who have retired, whatever. And then what of the evidence?
Right, the preservation of evidence.
What about publicity? What about the prospects of having a fair
Well,
hearing?
that was literally going to be my question. If a retrial takes place, how is it? Do you think that it would be fair for everyone charged?
Just the judges in their wisdom will be able to answer that.
Okay.
Because naturally, from where I sit, I am going to say no.
So you can't. So you don't want a retrial. That's what it sounds
It's
like.
not gonna happen.
Would it then be? Would he be then released on time serve, or would it?
No. He's not. There's no time. There's no time. In fact, there's a nice thing in the order when the king sign it that says pay the man them money for their legal fees that they wasted. So it's a matter for the public if you want to use the taxpayers' money and your KFC money to pay to see another trial, so that defense lawyers and prosecutors can dress up every day and get a lot of media attention at the expense of men who need to get their freedom.
So you bring up the Privy Council, not the Privy Council, the juries and the jury trial system. So this Privy Council ruling, it has raised some concerns about potential flaws in the existing legislation, specifically about the jury trial system. It seemed like now lawmakers them a rush for close some loopholes. What are your thoughts on that? Me they make the joke last week, say this set a precedent, say if a lawyer case I go back, them can just introduce like a tainted juror, bribe and say, I'm get bribe out. Oh, look, case gone bad. Mistrial. So, what are your thoughts on that though?
It's interesting that you say that, because that's the assumption. And what we do bad, and this is my criticism, not on the judiciary, but on Parliament. We're going to be nice about the criticism. We love shortcut. We behave like how people use AI to do their homework and stuff like that. I call it piecemeal legislation. If you don't use mature consideration in drafting what is it that you want to achieve, everything is going to run amok. For instance, we have already made changes to the legislation. We no longer have jury trials with 12 jurors unless it's capital murder. We're down to like 7. Now, what the amendment that is going to be made, it is going to happen and ought to happen a long time ago. We shouldn't wait until, for instance, a dog bites a baby and then we say, the fine is $100, it needs to be $1 million, and then we run and amend it. We should think about how as society progresses. For instance, we build up all of these high-rise buildings and stuff like that. We soon have to have legislation for who pays when picnics start to drop off of the roof with the swimming pools on the top. Who is going to be criminal? No, these are things that should be bound to happen if it's gonna happen eventually. Yeah? And is the law in place is the strata laws enough? Where does the liability lies? Who will pay? Rather than we just drop it on without warning. $30 million because you build the building high and we're not going to stand for it. No, we can't pander to the public. So that particular legislation that you said a while ago, you can't, even if that law was in place in Jamaica, it still would not have applied to the cartel matter. Here's what I mean. The Privy Council has made it clear that when it comes to the defendants in this matter, cartel and others, there's no evidence that they tampered with the jury. Jury tampering is an external exercise, and so you have to see that the poison came from outside that would have tampered. What we have in the cartel situation is 11 people in a room. One of them said, we're paying you and we don't know where the money coming from, who is doing the bribe, what's doing the bribe.
But there's evidence of poison.
Internally. No.
You say where the poison come from?
Right.
Yeah.
So what would have happened even if the legislation was as is in the UK, where a judge can discharge a jury and it's judge alone, it would have to be upon proof, because a defendant should not be able to benefit from his being the author of the poison. But if you can't show or prove that they had something to do with it, you would simply have to discharge the jury and start again, which should have happened in this situation.
Yeah.
Under no
Right.
circumstances. And ironically, our very erudite former Prime Minister, PJ Patterson, says nothing new under the sun. And he put out a press release just today. And he said in 1983, Michael Manley and the Gleaner Company was a lawsuit where the jury had to be discharged. And Justice Zaka says, once there's a poison, you have to discharge and start over.
Yeah. But
So
then-
let us not think
Yeah.
that we went to the Privy Council and something novel and something new happened.
Right.
Fair trial rights, a recognition of constitutional rights is all that was solidified by this judgment. What is clear from the judgment is that you have no opportunity to negotiate fair trial right. You cannot gamble a person's constitutional right. You cannot gamble due process. That's a fair hearing by an impartial jury within a reasonable time. There's no question. So while it is that you can say, I'm a defense lawyer and I say, oh, nothing wrong, man, come. Me don't want to do over the trial here, so yeah, make we proceed. And the DPP says, well, she's not a DPP, but if a prosecutor said it without conferring with the constitutional creature, who sits in that chair would be the current DPP. When you are bound by the Constitution in that part, you don't get the opportunity to gamble.
So it's really a basis. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it's really a situation of technicality and not necessarily innocence, but it's just a technical thing.
The thing about it is the Constitution says you're cloaked in the presumption of innocence.
Okay.
You can't be stripped of that. So you see, you have to watch Avatar and Dragon Ball Z, and you have to have an imagination. So when the law is speaking, you zone out. You zone out and start to picture it like you're in a Harry Potter movie. I'm trying to visualize it. So when somebody say you're cloaked in the presumptions of innocence,
innocence.
just
Harry
picture
Potter.
yourself standing in the center of a
Invisible.
square and somebody put on a cloak so nobody can see you.
Yeah.
And you're just clear and pure. The Constitution gives you that. So when everybody coming on you and say yes, and him do it and them do it, they can't strip that cloak off of you unless the burden is met by the prosecution.
I know
Or
you
beyond a
said that.
reasonable
I know
doubt.
you said that a retrial, at least in your mind,
Will
is
not happen.
is
Right.
next to impossible. But if it does happen, how prepared are you? Do you have the mindset for if a retrial should actually take place?
Yeah, well, I'm say something to fix everybody. Listen, you just play that whole album, but I'm born for this. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So you
don't
guys are
know
ready.
what, and then you become the bad guy, or seen as a bad person. It's law, it's facts and law, not feelings, not emotions. And if we are all looking at the same law, you will appreciate why I said it's not a possibility.
According to your aisle to France St. Thomas.
Watch it. don't listen.
Are you gathering that, brother?
Watch it, Don't let me lick you with the they pussy them bella. Give me the power, I beg of you. And
Strike over
so let me just clear that up on the fix.
Yeah, because the people them say love it here, so you want
No. So context matters,
Right.
And this is what I
Plug.
Yeah.
No, it's not a plug. You guys do your show and you do current events and you see things. If you just drop into the fix without knowing what you spoke about last week or what the show is about, you don't have no content. You don't have any context as to what it would just be just three people talking and laugh. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So we just came out of local government elections. We had one politician, I can't say her name, the Honorable Miss Vybz Kartel. She was lighting candle and singing Sankey, and the poker did a jump and them in all white and the green candle and the parchment paper and the fruits. I call it what you will.
Yeah.
And then our that leader of opposition say, all right, I'm going to go up at the Maroons and me see them rub up with the Highland, this and that. So I found it very interesting
Say
because
it's a joke. You wanted to say a joke.
no, it is a joke. It is a joke.
I see it in your eyes.
it is hilarious.
Theatrics.
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
It's a part of a culture, you know.
No, it's a beautiful thing because if it is that I can re-up my I feel like I don't know. You remember Captain Planet?
Yes.
Let our powers come back. Water. so they can do it, but the king,
Yeah,
right?
I was
But I
wondering
figure
about
when
that
that letter come, there are considerations that I know in terms of the compassion of the court and the court, our court as it is in 2024, they don't waste time.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, this was a hearing that was done by, it's an expedited hearing on the grounds of his medical illness.
Right.
It was granted on his medical position. So that's not stripped away simply because it's being passed back here. They are the court will act under the same mandate and deal with it expeditiously.
Well, next thing I want to ask you, is there a possibility that Kartel sue the government once he walks free?
No,
If he will sue the government,
Yeah.
Tell them what you think. Leave a comment. I'm out. Thank you for watching.